TikTok and Instagram realtors and whether they do a ton of business or not. How effective this being on social media, following trends, how effective does that actually lead to results? Like, what is the purpose truly of these agents being online and just getting clicks and attention? Should you as a buyer or seller gravitate towards somebody who's really popular on Instagram and TikTok? There is so much more to this business than just marketing your property. Welcome back to another episode of Moving Sucks. I am Seth Lejeune, your host, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers today. Definitely. I get questions from clients, consumers, people who just are on social media talking about TikTok and Instagram realtors and whether they do a ton of business or not. So I got into a little bit of a tiff with a guy who's actually at my brokerage. It wasn't a tiff. He's a good guy, and it was fine. But we got into a thing about how effective this being on social media, following trends, putting properties up, doing funny things, trying to get people's attention. How effective does that actually lead to results in terms of actual volume, actual properties being sold? Does the marketing help actually physically sell property? What is the purpose truly of these agents being online and just getting clicks and attention? I do not have a statistical study. I don't have any kind of empirical study or anything other than my own anecdotal just kind of observation. My sense is that it does not really move the needle at all. I also have some problems with it. I think that it is, I actually think it's detrimental to our industry. And, I'm not, the people have called me a stick in the mud, for sure, because I'm more of an institutionalist. I'm not this big rule breaker. You're never going to see me dancing around and pointing at bubbles and, doing silly videos, and same way, I have a lot of orthopedic issues. I'm never going to be running a marathon. It's just not who I am. I know there's some agents out there, including some of my mentors at Real, who, they said they would never do it, and now they do it. But those Instagram influencers, for me, I think they do a lot less. They do a lot more attracting people to their brand, or they're selling something else. They have a podcast. They're trying to build a YouTube following for business. I don't find there to be a very big correlation between people who do high amounts of volume and get high amounts of results and those who are on TikTok, Instagram, and being goofy and outside the box. People say, "Oh, don't post those infographics because the under contract just listed, just sold." That may be too. I don't know. People say that doesn't move the needle because the real estate market or the real estate realtors have just flooded the algorithm with those posts. I personally have gotten business directly from those, but I also know that my sphere enjoys seeing that because it confirms their decision to use me as their realtor. It's okay, he's still out there doing business, and it does have kind of a confirming effect. But I really want to talk about today, should you as a buyer or seller gravitate towards somebody who's really popular on Instagram and TikTok? And my answer is resoundingly no. I don't believe that there's a connection between someone who's a really good marketer and can self-promote and get lots of likes and clicks and a direct sale of your home or finding property out in the marketplace. There is so much more to this business than just marketing your property, or I'm sorry, just marketing yourself. And also, actually, no, I take that back. There is so much more to this business than marketing your property. And for buyers, it's even less effective because there's nothing to promote. You're trying to find something. So I think that I've got a couple ways I want to talk about this. One is like, what is the actual direct consumer benefit or detriment? The other is the as a whole the industry and what actually it means for our reputations and what like we kind of are perceived to be by the public. I have a very very strong feeling about this. Let's take the second part first because it's the one I'm more passionate about. Is that there are zero, no, not zero, close to zero other professions that do all this carrying on online. This voiceover, dancing around, doing the trends, pointing at bubbles, getting into fancy cars, doing all this fake shit that everybody in our business knows is like a lot of it's just like because it was social media day. They all get in the office and they all like play out. They chat GPT some scenarios, funny, quippy, that move the needle, and it's all about getting attention. And I don't know an accountant really, or a lender, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or all these other professions that realtors claim to want to like be you know, kind of part of that camp. Now, some of them are regulated; they can't do it. But there's like a funny GIF online where it's like a plumber who basically has like he's got like the wrench over his shoulder. He's like, "Yep, just came in, solved their problem in no time." You know, happy customers, blah blah blah. And it's like that's kind of true. Where we're very like self congratulatory, and I think that there's a couple reasons why realtors are like the least trusted. One of the least trusted professions in the country. I think it's like used car salesmen, attorneys, certain kinds of doctors. But we put ourselves in a light, I think, that really is a detriment to the seriousness of the work that we do. I think that the public has a very big misunderstanding of what we do day in and day out. And I guarantee you, it is not the fancy cars. And I mean, if I could turn this video around, I'd show you my office. It's filled with lists and documents, and I've got a 5 folders here full of documents I have to scan. Like, it's not glamorous work. And I think when we take the idea of, okay, being a realtor is this like, amazing like HGTV experience, that hurt. First of all, it hurts a ton of people with misconceptions into this business and getting licensed, which then hurts us even further because there's a lot of inexperienced agents. But also, like, it presents us with like an unseriousness that I think really paints a very broad paints with a very broad brush on like actually what we do. So every business has three things: administrative, technical, marketing. Administrative is the support of the business, technical is the doing of the business, and then marketing is the finding of the business. All this TikTok social media stuff is all about finding business. There's no relationship between someone who's really popular on TikTok and their ability to understand how to stage a home, get the property sold, understand an ideal buyer, have the conversations with the buyer's agent to give them the script to go back to that ideal buyer, understanding technical clauses in the contract, understanding contingencies, being efficient, understanding workflow, task management, all the things that like nobody talks about in this business. All this TikTok stuff makes it just look like we're floating around or selling houses and popping in and out, doing this, that, and the other. And I don't believe that it does us any good. Also, for the consumer, we can flip over that coin, is that you're you're not likely to sell your house online. You should focus, when you're hiring an agent, you should focus on someone who knows more of the technical part. Yes, they should be able to market. They should be able to go out and understand the marketing and the way things are worded and who the ideal buyer is and all that good stuff. And that's part of the kind of the marketing piece. But you really want someone who understands the technical piece. You want someone who's experienced and understands how buyers tour property and how they come through and the conversations and where the selling points are in the house. Like most realtors don't talk about selling points. Every house has 2 or 3 selling points, meaning where a good buyer's agent will take the buyer through and then bring them back to one of like the features. So it could be a pool, could be a kitchen, could be a master suite, it could be the front yard. because it has great curb appeal. You don't try to ask them what they think about the house in an unfinished basement or in a laundry room or in a powder room. Like there are ways that buyers agents are able to take people through to get real feedback and real action from their client. Those are the types of things, like all these like little nitty gritty things you don't hear about on TikTok. You don't hear about on Instagram. A lot of it is just for the sake, and it drives me nuts because our whole society is based on this, is just attention, attention, attention. But again, there is no direct line between high performance and people's likes and followers on Instagram. Now, there's a caveat. There can be a very high producer who adds this on to their business, but very, very few people get on and do these goofy videos and all this shit, and then they like build their business that way. It can happen. I'm not saying it can't, but if you're a realtor or if you have a realtor who you're wondering how they built their business, I'd much rather have a business built on experience, built on reps, meaning deals, having those conversations over and over and over again, understanding market data, metrics. So listen, if your realtor is online talking about the market, talking about metrics, talking about the boring stuff, the stuff that doesn't move the needle, the thing that makes Zuckerberg yawn, that's fine. But that's a serious part of the business. That's an important part of the business, and that's where a financial planner or an accountant or a lawyer would get on and say, listen, just a heads up, this is what I'm seeing. This is what the market's doing. I have technical knowledge of the market. Totally fine with that. I'm talking more about the goofy jumping around, half of an ass like hanging out, or in the gym, like, pumping iron or getting out of a Corvette in front of a mansion type shit. None of that moves the needle, man, unless you're in like ultra luxury, which nobody really is in. So I wanted to just get on here and say, if you are interviewing an agent, if you're interviewing an agent in Philly, you don't have to worry about this. You can just call me. But in the end, if you're out there and you're wondering who to hire, do not be persuaded by high likes and high follower accounts, because there's a good chance that person's a good marketer and knows how to like hack the algorithm. And yes, it might present a little bit more exposure to your property, but most people are not finding a property on Facebook and Instagram. And there's people out there who claim that that's true and that gets a lot of clicks. Again, they're going for clicks. They're trying to convince realtors to go into their program to get more, to get onto social media, like coaching programs and stuff like that. But there is not a direct link between likes, followers, and results. So if you are hiring an agent, you want to be absolutely clear on track record, technicality. How do they approach the sale? Do they understand who your ideal buyer is? Do they understand what your needs are? Because that piece of the pie is not what really moves the needle. Moving the needle is what I just described, is coming in, understanding who you are, what you need, understanding property, infrastructure, documents, process, all that good stuff. And it's boring. I know it's really boring, but guess what? Accountants' jobs are boring, and financial planner and lawyers' jobs are all boring. But that's the thing that actually provides results. So just want to get on here and talk about that. If anyone has any questions, I am sure that there will be realtors who completely disagree with me, and that's fine. I do okay. I do okay in my business, and I don't have to shake my ass or, get on and pump iron and do all this goofy shit. People, my sphere knows that I'm serious about this business, and that it is, we frankly owe it to the consumer to do this job well. And I would much rather be a highly capable realtor than a great marketer. So hope that helps everybody. And if you guys can do me a favor too and like and subscribe to this, that would be great. And speaking of algorithms, they love that shit. So appreciate all your support, and call me if you need me.